Supervisors, in no particular order, do you guys have any reports at this time?
Yes, sir. Club Day. Club Day is going to be held out on the quad March 1st. It's going to go from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. We have 25 confirmed clubs right now. So it looks like we've got a good interest in it. Right now we need performers. So if you guys know of any clubs that have, performance type of activities, please send them our way. Or you can have them talk with Jeanette Carpenter. She's been doing a great job of publicizing, working with clubs, and getting the word out. And then also graduation speaker applications are going to be available in SLD this afternoon. Deadline for applications to be submitted to SLD is March 26th. The criteria, it's on the application, but just if you graduated fall 2011 or will be graduating spring 2012, you meet the minimum requirements for GPA, and you are eligible. So please know anybody, or if any of you are interested, we're looking for as many applicants as possible, and represent your guys' school. And that's all I have to.
And just a quick announcement that I know it's hard to think about this right now, but election packets will be out on Tuesday, February 28th. They will be due back to the same office, Student Leadership Development Office, March 20th, and that will include both the Student Association for both CAVE as well as Student Senate, as well as the district-wide student trustee, and there are two different packets for those. The SAC packet is all the same, but the student trustee is a different one. So if you plan on returning and are interested, then come by and pick up the packet.
You can get it in before March 20th.
Deadline to return it is March 20th.
This is 5 p.m. I believe?
5 p.m.
5 p.m. Yes, Treasurer Reed.
Back to what Chris was saying as far as Club Day, I did submit paperwork for us to also have a table out there, so I expect to see all of us out there that don't have class. I'll be out there from 10 to 1, so expect somebody else.
Yes, Chris?
Yes, and Ladanya, your guys' table and Cave's table will be up front right by the stage. So you guys will be visible. Bring the banners out, bring your vinyl, you guys are going to be out there in the forefront, so make it happen.
I'll make it.
Make it happen.
Well, this portion meeting was reserved for Shane, but he already got his out, so continue on. On to returning business. I'm going to skip all that. Yes, let's go ahead.
You could still discuss, because I did have questions about these.
Okay, sure. Let's continue business. Returning business, initial of the ASAC trip. We had a proposition last time as well as a resolution, I believe. Does anybody have a resolution? No? Okay, well, essentially we're going to speak about the ASAC trip and who's going to be the representative and where the funds are going to come from. Open discussion at this point if anybody has anything they'd like to say. Yes, Treasurer.
I was going to say the original resolution that was submitted to finance was submitted by Elohim Cofield, and that's the only resolution that, as far as finance was concerned, that we had approved and received.
Okay. And that was, I believe, SS 12004 or 005.
5.
Right. Okay. Very nice. Very nice. Let it be noted. Yes.
What do you guys kind of talk about at this trip?
At the ASAC trip, or right now we're going to talk about regarding the ASAC trip? Well, it's like a 5-day trip.
I know what it is. So what were you guys planning to meet with the representatives in Congress about?
Well, I think if you've been there, then maybe you can shed some light on what's going on.
If you would like for me to know.
Great.
All right. So normally what happens is community colleges throughout the nation get together and they go on this 5-day trip and they meet with their congressional members in Congress in Washington, D.C. Most of the time, there's majority of the nation meeting about and scrambling about for 5 days about Pell Grants, and that's what they would like to propose to our congressional leaders. Los Rios has always been a standout district because we go prepared and we always go on something different than Pell Grants. That way we're not scrambling for 3 days trying to figure out what we're going to talk about. So that's why I wanted to know what
Right, what's
Los
the,
Rios is going to talk about.
we were still going to discuss the Pell Grant issue. That was the major forefront of everything that was going to be discussed. However, you touched on something that I did like, which was Los Rios, let's go in prepared, let's go in. But one thing I like is for Los Rios to be different. So if we could discuss one major thing that affects our students specifically, so it would make us stand out as compared to everybody else who's petitioning for college. Yes, Chris?
Yeah, I wanted to allude to that. The points that will be discussed are the DREAM Act and Pell Grant. So this is information that has been passed on down since Shane has already been approved to go on the trip. And so Shane has been, he's been getting that information. Because of his position as trustee, he's got a lot of inside information, so he is preparing himself. And I also wanted to go ahead and notify the board that, due to policy, district policies on travel out of state, it's supposed to be at least 6 weeks in advance. Our administration, is stringent on that. And as a result of the board not being able to identify a representative. Typically, with the district policy that we have with the Slade Group being all of our colleges and the representatives that go, typically it's the president of the student body. So due to the fact that the time limits were passed and we had no action on this trip, I was asked to forward the paperwork. So the paperwork has been forwarded. Kevin will be going on the trip. And so I just wanted to make sure that you all knew is because of time constraints that our administration pushed for this to happen. So Kevin will be representing Sac City and 23,000 students on this trip in addition to Shane as the district trustee. So those will be the two representatives going from Los Rios.
Given the fact this is a new issue, I think it would be beneficial that we're able to speak about this. This is probably the first time a lot of us are doing this, so we should probably discuss it afterwards, I feel.
This is something different. This is a question for Chris.
Yes, Treasurer Reed?
My thing is, the board was not able to make a decision because number one, it was never brought to the board. When we originally approved for September 30th to go on trips, the only trips at that time that we had approved and discussed were FAC, General Assembly, and Seesaw. ASAC was never brought to us. It was mentioned by Ken during a February 1st meeting that we had in the Student Center, but at no time had the board discussed going to ASAC, and I find it really odd that the administrators are pushing when that's something that the board should decide, not the administrators. What, especially if it's funds that we need to vote on.
Chris, would you like to respond to that?
What?
Would you care to respond to that? No?
Do you want to respond to that at all?
Well,
I'll clarification.
the clarification is that it has been on several agendas to be talked about here in the Senate. And based on that information, there was an interest. Our school wanted to send a representative because of the time constraints. Because of the time constraints, once again, it's a 6-week period. We could not get that person identified. So typically, the president has been identified to go, and that was the direction that we were given, and so the paperwork was forwarded, it's been approved, and that's who the representative from Sac City will be.
Okay. I think we've opened up Pandora's box here, so I'm going to take one more comment and then move on. We'll take Debbie with this one.
Quick question. Who's paying for it?
Exactly.
Well,
Yes, Kim?
okay, I'm waiting to be recognized, thank you. What I can share is from meetings with Michael Poindexter, who's our Vice President of Student Services, the expectation from the college is that, you know, per past precedents, this board will pay for it. Ultimately, you have the vote, and it's your decision to make. The college does expect that you would pay for it. If you don't, it would be paid for, I assume, through some other means.
Under what I know, no actions have been taken, we're going to have to discuss all of this. Pandora's box is really being opened up right now, so to get a civil matter, we have many other things to discuss on this agenda. Yes, that's why.
Thank you for recognizing the MC. As a member of, as a student who pays for you guys to go, I'm not so sure I feel comfortable about this board seeing a representative, especially when the first time that anybody has heard about the representative going is the president, and you can even answer my question as to what you guys would want to speak about. This has been clarified with us. So I'm not sure if that should be, that is a privilege to go to Washington DC, not a right of being president. And I'm not sure that anybody from Sacramento City College should go if you guys are not meeting the deadlines stipulated by the chancellor and you're not doing what you're supposed to. I pay for you guys to go, so I don't feel comfortable with having anybody from this college go.
Okay. It's another point we're going to have to discuss all this later. Once again, nothing's been thrown out on the table.
But you're already going.
Yeah.
Addressing all of your things that you're saying are valid, but I have no action I can take right now on this issue.
May I make a suggestion? When you guys vote next week, if you guys are allowed to vote, stipulating that everything's in order, I would suggest that as president, you recuse yourself and not go and not send a person from Sacramento City College.
Okay. We will surely discuss this after you. Moving on to the new stage. As I recall, in the legislative meeting, meeting led by Legislative Affairs, where we approved funds of $2,500 for a new stage.
Sorry, why are you guys paying for this stage?
The acknowledgement was that we helped build and amp up the stage. The costs were, I believe, $16,000. We would be donating $2,500 towards the stage. We'd be getting recognition in terms of a plaque, some recognition for the paper as well. So
No, what benefit does that have for the students? That seems more of a facilities thing. So how does that help advocate for the students?
valid point. Very valid point.
May I have an answer, please? As to why you guys are willing to pay for the money, or why you guys even voted to think about it?
You're gonna have to ask the voting members. I was not one of them. This 2,500 amount comes from somewhere. So the fact that we're gonna pay this much money, which is such a high amount, is baffling to me as well. Yes, Kim?
I can maybe shed some light on it. I'm not saying that's necessarily my opinion, or so I won't weigh in on that, but my understanding is that, we as student groups, clubs, student association, not to mention a whole variety of events and programs that go on this campus for students, utilize the stage out there. It's constantly being put up and taken down, put up and taken down. And so, I think in terms of an efficient use of resources, it made sense to build a permanent stage out there. I'm not sure who brought up the initial idea of the Student Association paying. I don't know if that came from the administrative operations side of the house, or if it came from the Student Association side of the house. I'm not, which came first, chicken or the egg, I don't know. But there have been multiple conversations about how can we contribute to this as an investment back into the college, and putting something here that's going to reflect and serve the students. I think that was part of the concept. Kind of like the Panther statue contributed to the overall atmosphere and culture of the campus, and kind of a real visual for students as they come onto campus in terms of a greeting. So those were some of the things that I have heard, and so ultimately it comes back to this board to decide one way or the other. The stage will be out there. Okay, does that?
Okay.
I'd like to motion for a 5-minute recess.
Second.
All in favor?
Oh, we can't vote.
Oh.
Without
Oh, yeah. So you're.
think we can still recess. It's not action item.
Without
Yeah.
objection.
Yeah, without objection. Does anybody object?
I need to go to the bathroom.
I need to get some water. She's going out, I'm going in.
Point of order.
Yeah, just as a quick comment from a public, can we not recess? Can you shed some light on that? Because like I just want to go through the meeting. I mean, I'm addressing this to you.
So,
Like,
you would like to not recess because
Yeah.
just to,
I want to go on with the meeting.
okay, unfortunately, you're gonna have to be part of the Senate to be able to do what we
Okay, no, just wondering.
Given the fact that, well, there are objections, so say no to it.
Yeah.
Let's get through the meeting ASAP. It'd be beneficial to get vote, go by majority, losing.
If there are objections, you can't
We
recess.
have objection, so let's finish.
Moving on. Okay, moving on, other discussion on the stage to new business, in March, we had a proposition for an $80 banner. Has that banner already been made? Being made. It's being made? Yes?
What it is, and the college group, actually our, and I should have, been more specific, I have a resolution and, what it is, we'll put in $10. Each college in our district, our region will put in $10 for the banner. Mendocino board has already approved, actually they approved $20 to go back into the fund. They'll give a check to our board for the banner. It's a Region 2 banner. And so, since Mr. Knox had given us the best price on it, we figured we would go ahead and pay for it out of our funds and then be reimbursed, if that's okay with the board.
Point of clarification, I'm assuming Mr. Knox is the same man who does the 200 t-shirts for 160. Okay.
He usually takes care of our marketing, attire and accessories, shall we say, every year, and also our board t-shirts.
Okay. Yes, Mr. Moore.
Point of clarification, who is paying it and who is reimbursing?
City will go ahead and pay for it. That's why I do $80. And then each of the colleges in Region 2, the active colleges in Region 2, will be reimbursing. Mendocino College has, their board has already met and approved their funds for reimbursement to us.
I was brushing myself with a quick point of clarification. I was at the side that signed this.
We're the ones that have the contact with Mr. Knox and most of the region executives are here at this college. We just figured it would be more, what's the word I'm looking for?
That makes sense, including with the region
Yeah,
executives.
efficient to have it generated from here, and then each of our colleges, the Marshall State will be done with that banner, with our own individual school banners.
Yes, go ahead.
Where will it be held? Like, where will it be kept? Like, after, like, because not everybody from the two always going to get city college. Will it shift?
Yes, it will go to wherever the chair of the executive board is at.
Mr. Noel?
I guess another point of clarification, is that resolution is similar to the contract? I just want to make sure we're not stuck with this. Do you have it in writing or signed that, or is it just a verbal?
It's a verbal. It's a verbal. And I can, it's a very good point, and I will, at our next meeting, make sure and have something to have everybody sign in writing. That's a very good point, thank you.
Okay. Mr. Clerk?
When and where is March supposed to take place?
It's been natural March or because of SEC?
Yeah, I guess SEC.
SEC, we're going to be meeting over here until 9:35 in Gazebo. The t-shirts will be handed out accordingly. Afterwards, we're going to take the light rail over to, I believe, 2115. And from 10 to 11, we're going to rally and then be at the Capitol. This was given me by Kevin Bishop about, I think 2 days ago was the initial update. Yes.
Clarification. Here on campus, we'll be meeting at 9 at Quad. We'll rally some there. The t-shirts will be handed out over by the bookstore on the way to the light rail. Typically what happens every year is we have a rally point in the Quad. We have the megaphone and we do some chanting and pepping everyone up, and then those that have to go to class and not going on the march do their thing, and then we move over to the bookstore area, hand out the t-shirts to those of us that are going to be getting on the light rail. We all chat all the way to the light rail, on the light rail, to the Capitol stairs, and then we greet the other schools as they come up the street to the march.
Yes, Michael?
We're not marching.
Students are allowed, oh,
Nope. I was under the impression we were marching.
I mean, shouldn't we as the representatives of the school actually partake in the march and not just greet people?
Did you get it, Krista?
typically, because of our access to light rail and it just being accessible for the campus, we tend to take light rail because on the trip down, we pick up students from McClatchy High and different things, and then we're there to welcome everyone. Individual students are more than welcome to march from the staging point, and I sent everybody, forwarded everybody the email from Kevin with that staging point because they moved it this year. And you're more than welcome to march from there, but it's just easier for us to stage and hand out the t-shirts and whatever here on campus.
Just so you know, like before City College had our light rail station, they would meet and have a bus taken to Raven Field. But because all of our students have become the bus pass, it seemed more beneficial financial wise as well to, instead of paying for a bus to come pick up, and several buses come pick us up and drive us to Raven Field and have them march, it just seemed more beneficial since you really don't have to pay to get on the right road. So it also helps the cars from the same side.
Thank you. There are no objections, we'll move on to GA. There was a proposal given for not to exceed $6,000 for GA for additional members. Just curious, who are the current members who are going as of now? I showed them today. Who are already signed up to go, everything's set in stone.
Yeah.
I believe we have. Okay.
Okay.
I believe, if I'm not mistaken, we have already set out 10 spots. And now we're requesting an additional, how many? 6? 6 spots. Okay. And the 6,000 number is for 6 spots? So $1,000 apiece? Yes?
Initially, there are some members that are required to go. Me as the region chair, him as the vice chair, Shanesh Prasad as my com officer, Liddell Williams as my secretary, Angela Miller as the school's voting delegate, Ladanya Reed as our non-voting delegate. We also included Jew, Michael, Ushan, and Alex were the other members that are on the board. We now have new members, and one of the reasons that I wrote this proposal, if I may speak, was that most of us that are on the region side of it, and in our constitution, per our constitution, it says that we can support board members that are part of the region. But we're going to be leaving, and just my personal opinion, I think it's essential that the newer board members that will be continuing next year have that experience so that they can continue our presence, not only in Region 2, but in the State Student Senate, to help advocate for all community college students throughout the state. So,
Quick point of clarification, would you suggest that only students will be staying here next year get to go, or that everybody who's currently in the Senate, whether or not they'll be here next year or not?
like I said, there are members that have to go because of our positions on the region and our positions as voting and non-voting delegate. Everybody else is new, and I think maybe continuing otherwise.
Okay, yes, no, that's probably true. With the exception of three members. Yes, Ms. Moore?
Mr. President, also, I think that it would be beneficial to bring more members because of the process when we go there, when we introduce resolutions. During the Region 2 meetings, me being the voting delegate and the non-voting delegate have to participate in the Region 2 meetings to discuss the other resolutions. And it would be beneficial to have other members of our board to go to the other region meetings to present our case to them to get support, which they're not required to sit at the Region 2 meeting. We are. So we need them, and all the regions meet at the same time. So it's beneficial to, to get that support for us.
That makes sense. Okay. How many extra members did you want to take? Would you suggest going beyond the 6? No. Okay. Yes, Treasurer Reed.
I was also going to say another reason for the additional members is we're taking 2 advisors, and you take 10 members per advisor. So it also is beneficial to max out, because last time we went, we only took 6 members and 2 advisors, and I didn't think we needed to do that because that was a waste of our money for the extra advisor. So if we're going to take 2 advisors, I think we should take as many people as we can because it is beneficial. It is a great experience, that the newer members should have.
That makes sense. It's like renting 2 vans and going about the 2 people and going this way.
Yeah.
Of course, you guys are rented vans. We appreciate it. Came out someone wrong. Apologize about that. Yes, the chair recommends our advisor.
Just a little history. On January 27th, you all approved an amount not to exceed $12,000 to send 10 students and 2 advisors. And also something I've repeatedly shared is that the General Assembly isn't, like a large student leadership conference with breakout sessions, so on and so forth. It's really not set up for large student groups to attend from schools. It's really set up for those smaller groups, particularly those individuals that will have an active role in the process, because if everybody isn't engaged, too often I think people end up feeling like they're not utilized, they're not engaged, and they're not able to get out of it what they otherwise would have. Ultimately, it will come down to the vote of this board. But I do want to share that, and also we've talked about before the concerns about your balance and your student rep fee account.
As Angela stated, part of the reason for the additional students is, unfortunately, to put them to work. We will have some resolutions from our region and from this school, because we're getting pretty good at presenting resolutions. Our legislative affairs commissioner presents her resolutions that we take to the state student senate, and it's vital that we get support from other regions prior to the main vote for our resolutions. So the additional students will be a part of it. And to be honest, the General Assembly has gotten better about putting on some of the workshops that they do put on. It also allows you to make contact with other students throughout the state and other community colleges. That become vital at times for your advocacy process. So I just want to put that out there. Thank you.
Yes, final comment?
This is, in terms of funds, as far as student rep fee, we knew, about this coming in, but we also, were told during JVC and also another meeting I had mentioned that we would pull funds, from the general fund if we have to. And this is the problem I have with ASAC. If we don't have enough student rep fee to send additional members to General Assembly, why should we send one member to ASAC? I think it'd be more beneficial to send more members or students at large to a bigger General Assembly here in state versus sending somebody to ASAC. If we don't have the fees, then we shouldn't be sending anybody anywhere.
If there are no objections, we'll move on to the staff parking for executive members. This was an initiative spearheaded by our legislative affairs.
That means quiet. I'm excited.
Would you care to speak on this?
So I brought it up to the legislative department, also to Mr. Kahanian and Ms. Byer, about the executive members of the board. We have a tendency of leaving the campus often. And it's very difficult when you have to find a parking space, when you have to go to the Capitol and go talk to whomever there and then come back and then find another parking space and then try to get to class on time. I've probably accumulated about $400 in staff parking tickets. I have a ticket on my car right now. I do, I'm banned. But basically what I was, what the proposal is saying is that we'd like for 10 staff parking stickers to be available to the executive members of the board. It would be placed on a card, which if that member left the board, they would have to relinquish the parking sticker back to Ms. Byer or whomever. And it would be something we paid for. Staff parking, as far as I know, is not, the sticker is not paid for by the staff. But if we offered the campus maybe $50 or some roundabout number to purchase these stickers, then I think it would be beneficial. That's just it in a roundabout. We'll work on the better details later.
Okay, yeah, let's get published together next meeting. Let's get it voted. Get consent council. Let's get it done for next month. Yes, Michael.
Where would the money be coming from?
We can pay for it ourselves.
Personally?
Personally, we pay for it ourselves.
Moving on, if there are no objections to the uniforms and letterman, I actually did some research regarding this. Regarding uniforms, I looked into lettermans. They are frugally expensive. I'm just going to break it down to you. They are very expensive. I was assuming anywhere between the range of $80 to $100. It's looking more along the lines of about $150 to $200 for good quality. There were some shabby ones I found on Amazon, and they were about $50 a piece. I wouldn't trust them to hold up in the wash or dry cleaning. There were also ones that could be embroidered and so on and so forth, but given the discussions about whether or not we want to send even members to ASAC because of the troubling funds, I feel like it might be a better idea to hold up on the uniforms for a while, especially nice warm ones we just don't need because it's really hot, very hot. It's getting hotter faster. If anything, we can get these amazing 75-cent T-shirts. That would be great. I'd suggest as an alternative. Maybe we can get a collar on it so we can be smaller. Yes, that's what?
I see that the point was to be uniform when you go lobby. I'm sorry. Kim, because we've had this discussion several times within several years. So, and I already know kind of what your advisors would say as to, because it's constantly being brought up. I would just suggest that you guys don't have uniforms because you guys already have the uniform shirts that you guys are getting. Maybe you push them up earlier when you guys get the shirts instead of it's not just always during March, because I already know that first of all the budget's kind of low, and, that the advisor's gonna say that she don't really need that. I only know that from experience. So,
Would you
Yeah,
like
I
to
think
address
what Latoya's addressing is that the key is that it's going to come out of your general fund and not your student revenue fund. So you could get them, but it's just a matter of which fund does it come out of. So it would have to come out of your general funds.
May I ask you, where was the last time we ordered the shirt Mr. Williams was wearing? When was the last time we ordered this?
Here, wasn't it?
Do we
Last
have
semester.
any, do we have any more t-shirts available? Does anybody, can anybody shed any light on that issue? Debbie and then Kushan will get to.
Typically, we order a shirt for fall, and then we order an additional shirt in the spring. We have not done our spring order yet, and hopefully that will be taking place very soon, with ideas and shirt concept coming back soon.
Okay. Sure, you want-
To answer your question, if you have more shirts.
Yeah, because I received an extra large shirt,
Yes.
and I'm a large, no, I'm not a large, but extra large is a long sleeve on me, so it'd be nice if I could have a shirt.
To answer that, that was all we had.
Yeah, okay. Right, put on.
As far as the t-shirt concept, we did in the Senate and in finance, we had already passed it, it just didn't make it to the board. And as far as what we talked about in the Senate was because we wanted to stick out like sore thumbs in the quad or whatever, and people just pick us out. The shirt concept was got questions on the front, question marks all or whatever, and then either I got answers or we got answers on the back. So that was the concept that was brought by me in comments.
Was this a yellow and black shirt, the one that looked like a bumblebee?
No, that I was talking about the bumblebee. It was kind of the bumblebee idea, but that's what was being discussed. We had already come up with the color concepts and all that. It just never got to the board. It went through finance. We talked about it in Senate, and we're still designing it.
Do you have like a template or like a design of it?
No. I mean, I know in my mind what I see, but you know, it's better if everybody else can come with, you know, something to the table rather than me.
Sure. Ms. Williams?
If there's no objection, I'd like to.
Okay. All right, there are no objections?
Objection. I'm just kidding.
All right, if there are no real objections, we'll move on to adjournment. The items for future consideration. Does anybody have any items for future consideration? I'll say go first. Yes, Marlon.
First of all, I'd like to say I'm glad that everyone respected each other today and respected advisors. It makes me feel good to be in here. I'm not running out. Future things that I know I would have to go to Senate as a student, and maybe somebody could help me take this on. I like to see the meetings televised because I'm supposed to have a lunch break right now, but I'm an hour late. So for those people who can't make it to these meetings all the time, can you please get it on the Sacramento College channel, please? For people who work 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. And
That's
also,
a lot of work, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
yeah. And I think you work like 18, don't you? Go to sleep at 2 and wake up at 6.
Wake up at 6 every day?
Yeah. So with that being said, that's one, and then maybe another senator or anybody else can take up the idea of taking this meeting and holding it at the lunch hour outside in public. Maybe just open it all up and utilize that new stage that we got.
I think I don't know the idea of having a public meeting is a good idea. Outside meeting, I'm not sure it goes so well.
Yeah.
Personally speaking, I have several allergies, so I like the nice community
Yeah.
there. I think people got myself. Yes, Mr. Williams on the phone.
Yes, I have a few things to say. I asked that the president of the board allow me maybe 2 minutes, if it's longer than 1 minute, to call for on the agenda just so I can get my last points out. I'm standing up so everyone can see me and hear me. I just want to preface this by saying that I mean no disrespect for anyone sitting at this table or listening to this conversation. I'm saying how I feel
as a board member and my recommendations as a member of this board and a member of the previous ASG. Last meeting, which was last Wednesday, was an absolute travesty. It was inexcusable the way that it went down. Today, when we walked in, we received a memorandum from Vice President Poindexter attached to our advisors, saying that the members who violate meeting protocol will be punished in a specific way that was said on that memorandum. That sort of action is contrary to our body's bylaws. I understand that it's coming from the executives, but we do have our own rules. We have our ways to punish our own members, especially in this specific way. You know, our chair has his ways that he can punish members for violating meeting protocol. And us receiving this memorandum, I'm wondering why specifically our advisor, Kim Byer, did not receive a similar memorandum, as she violated meeting protocol as well by asking members to leave and speaking during the vote in a way that I felt was to sway the way that the vote went. Further, the Senate is a constitutional body and has to follow the Constitution as it was ratified by the students and approved by the Board of Trustees. I feel that if a student who is on this board is not following the Constitution, then they're saying their personal opinion and what they want to do is more important than the voice of the students who voted for this Constitution. And I feel that any administrator, staff, or member of the faculty who also violates our Constitution is saying that their opinion or what they want to do is more important than what the Board of Trustees said that they wanted us to do. So I ask that that no longer happen. I call to all members of this board to no longer allow any violations of the Constitution and bylaws by any person in any position, and do what you have to do within the means of the law to make sure that your rights and the rights of those students who aren't sitting here with us are not being violated. Another thing I want to bring up is the parliamentarian. She's been a great help to us today, but our Constitution specifically states that the parliamentarian is to be from an appointed senator who is appointed by the president, which is why I asked her if she was a student when I first walked in to see if she was actually qualified to sit as our parliamentarian. I appreciate her advice, but I don't think she should sit as parliamentarian since she's not a student or a senator on this board. I also call that to these members, and now this is going to be really controversial, but I have to say it, is that if the administrators in the district continue to pursue action that makes decisions for the boards and the students, that the student senate should take legal action against them. That's all I have to say.
Okay. Are there any other items for consideration? Yes, Ms. Latoya.
To piggyback on what the former member of this board has said, when you addressed that you have allergies so you don't feel really outside.
One of the many things.
I feel that, not this board specifically, but other community boards, they've gotten out of this room, maybe having it go back to meeting once a month, once a year, once a semester, and the students in it. I really think that maybe your allergies might be able to hold that, maybe for a day, for an hour. If you guys met outside, just like, hey, the students can see what you guys are doing. You might not get a lot of participation. However, I think that will be beneficial for the students to see, especially during election year, to kind of see how their governing body works. And maybe that might help them, especially because we're going to fall elections, and that would be good for the decisions representing them. So I think that the board should consider meeting at least outside of their meeting and outside of the RN too.
I think that's not a bad idea at all. I mean, publicity is always good. I don't want to look out for myself if I'm just going to say I'm allowed to do it for that.
Just to make a point is I would love to be outside as well. It's a great invite. But we do it in the student center, which gives the students very much a platform to see what we do. So it already happened.
Yes, Debbie, you could.
Your agenda, speaker item,
This would be, I guess, for the future, we would have outside meetings or public meetings. I think the goal is to have public rather than outside, right?
Well, no, the student mentioned having one outside because maybe a lot of people are, I don't know, claustrophobic. You guys are kind of close in, the blinds are drawn, it's hot, so I think the focus was to have one outside, not just in the students.
I can't see any reason why not, with the blessing of the Senate, but I'm not moving outside, especially with such nice weather. It's California. Yeah.
I'll look for them for a future agenda, the recycling and regular recycling resolution. So I'm hoping to get on the ballot for the coming election.
Yes, I'm under the impression that we're at, what, 35 or 37%, we need to be at 50? And you said we're pretty soon
State
we're
law
going to be at
requires
75.
50 currently. The new law that's in effect is January 1st and is being enforced, I think, June or July 1st. Makes it 75% by 2020.
What's 2020?
Currently, we're somewhere around 35 to 40% across the board.
Okay.
I feel that will change though.
Okay, got two more. Let's begin with the Vice President.
Just for point of information, if you write resolutions, they must go through the legislative board, then come through the Senate, and then reach this board. So make sure it goes through the Department of Legislative Affairs first.
Yes, this week.
Teacher. I said it.
All these things that we do.
You heard me?
I do. Yes.
I have something for the consideration for region, and that was the same comment before. Amendments to the bylaws.
Would you like it? How would you like it in the agenda?
Amendments to the bylaws.
Would you like it as an action item?
I think it needs to be action. Action.
Okay.
Because there is a debate. Upon vote.
Sure. So we'll have it under new business. Yeah. Yes, Kim?
I didn't catch that last part, but if there's a draft being proposed for the bylaw amendments, we make sure that it gets out to everybody, including the advisors, in advance, so we have time to review and thank you.
You'll have an event for me.
Okay. Are there any other items for future consideration?
I just want to make sure GA funding gets back on there.
It will be on the.
Okay.
Yes.
This isn't a future, well, yes it is. We need to solidify as far as like champs and stuff, I mean for March and March, and exactly what we're going to be doing for Club Day. I mean, I have an idea, but I think, and then, oh yeah, I emailed everybody this flyer, I emailed it to Jeanette, Kay, so everybody can take these flyers, pass them out, put them up. Thank you.
Okay. Quick question. Do you know of any other schools that have chants or slogans that they have?
We have we have some chants, but it's kind of like we don't want to say the same thing every year. So, I don't know. With new people and new blood, I was looking for new chants.
Are we not going with the fight our future? Is that to fund our future?
I mean, fund our future, but I mean, we have some stuff. Like, if anybody wants to see video, I have it. Just see me later.
Okay. Ms. Williams and Ms. Jones?
Yes, this is very brief. I just wanted to ask that Madam Secretary has my final comments in the minutes. I'd be happy to provide you with a summary of it so that you can have it.
Thank you for that clarification. Ms. Jones?
I just wanted to make sure that appointments and nominations are on the board, on the agenda next week. Because I'd like to be back on the board.
Okay. Yes, Mr. Moyle.
I was just wondering, the election committee, put that on the next agenda.
Election committee?
Yeah, maybe something started with it, that's coming up really soon.
Yes, Kim, would you like to provide some clarification on that?
Yeah, I actually emailed the members of the election committee a draft of the election packet, asked them to review it, get feedback to me by a certain date. Then I went ahead and finalized that packet. It's been duplicating it back. That'll go out on Tuesday. My next hope, and if somebody else wants to take the initiative on this, that'd be great, but is to contact members of the election committee to get together so that, like, pretty soon so that we can come up with a plan in terms of marketing and getting the word out, because the next drive is really going to be getting the word out, getting you all to classrooms to let students know that the elections are coming up and when the deadline is for the packets and where to pick them up. And then once the packets are due, then our drive will be promoting the actual election itself.
Yes, point of clarification.
Who's the chair of that committee again? Who is it?
Amina?
Election committee?
I believe so. I need to go back and look through the Constitution bylaws for sure because this is all new, but
It's not on just one side, it's on both sides.
Yeah, but the chair now, what they call it.
She'll chair the elections committee, Constitution section 6.
Who is it?
Huh? Amina, the Secretary of Equity University, the chair.
Okay. Are there any other items for future consideration? Yes, Mr. Bush.
How to get like televised meetings like this out to the public? That should be.
I'm going to work with Bushem on that. I think that you're going to be instrumental in doing that as an IT.
And I think this board should discuss as far as advisors, whether or not because I mean that's their job, but whether or not this board should allow. I said whether or not the board should allow for other advisors to sit besides you guys to advise the president and the board to do that should be discussed by the board.
Okay. Well, would you like to open up this discussion?
I
Or would
think
you like-
that was my future. That's what I think as a public should be discussed by the board.
Would you like it on the agenda anywhere or just as a discussion?
As an action, yes. I think the board should take action as to whether or not allowed to be advisors outside of the board.
Okay, I believe that's in our bylaws. Is it not?
It says that they, I said besides, then they are the advisors, but whether or not the board
I
should
see.
recognize anybody else as an advisor,
Right.
like the parliamentarians or other faculty staff members could be advisors to this board.
Okay. Are there any other items for future consideration? Do I hear a motion to adjourn this meeting?
Most of your.
We can't.
Oh, dang.
Right.
I got it.
Wednesday, site, development site, city events.
Amina, we're going to escape. You want to come with? Safe escape.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, we're getting a lot more interest.
I think my emails gotta help because I just bombard everyone with emails like 24/7.
They have to like answer you once in a while.
Yeah. Well, I hope, I send it to 138 people, so, I figure I get one person. I'm doing my job, right?
Hey, I go out for one prayer, 1 out of every 10 rule.
Okay.
Hopefully that means something. Nice, thank you, I appreciate it. Yeah, I just got some. Oh yeah, you already.
Yeah, you sent it.
I want to talk to you as well.
It's on the ground. Let them know that. Camera and stuff, so.